So when we talk about Earth Day, we often hear the three R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. And a lot of people think that the main one, the best thing you can do, is recycling. But in actuality, those words are listed in the order of importance of the best ways to actually have an impact. So first thing would be reduce. And for Earth Day and just any day, I try to reduce the amount of non-recyclable materials that I use, and also just materials. So I do my best to make sure that, for example, I use as little plastic, or I try to get as little plastic as I can. Although in the current situation, that's a little bit tougher because you can't really find a lot of unpackaged greens or some other vegetables. But as best I can, I try to reduce the amount of plastic I use. Then the next thing you would go to is reuse. And so here's an example of what I'm doing, or what I've always done to reuse things. You'll see I have older jars that held other things. This was peanut butter, I think, and I used that to make some caramelized fish sauce. Then I have another jar that I've stored some bulk grains that I bought. Same thing with some rice that I got. It's in an old tomato sauce jar. And then same thing, empty jar, ready for something. Empty jar. Now this is plastic, but again, it's a good solid jar, so I wanted to keep using that. Additionally, you'll see over here I had purchased a basil plant, and this is actually an old yogurt container that I've used to basically as a pot. The basil plant wasn't in such great shape when I got it, but I'm trying to get it back to life maybe. And then some of the staples that I have, like oil and vinegar, for example. I try to make sure that those are in glass jars, all glass. Now this one is plastic, but it's almost empty. And as you see, I have my next one is actually a glass jar. I don't know if you can hear that. Another thing, of course, is the standard recycling container that I use for paper and plastic and cans, bottles. Although, like I said, most of the glass that I have, I try to reuse. I'll show you another thing that I'm doing. So this may seem a little silly, but I've actually gone to bar soap in my bathroom, not the standard pump bottles that you see a lot of times. Same thing in the shower. Hopefully it's clean enough. Yeah, I've gone to bar soap instead of a squeeze bottle, or a pump bottle here as well. Over here's an older one that either someone left or I don't even remember. But what I do with that is I use that I refill that with water, and then I use that to sort of when I clean my shower, because the shower head doesn't reach all the corners. So that's a good way to sort of get a good spray to clean everything off. As it turns out, those pump handles that come on a lot of soap bottles or hand soap or things like that, the trigger, the pump, is actually not recyclable. Only the bottle is. So every time you have one of those, that's another piece of plastic, pretty intensive piece of plastic that is actually not recyclable. Here's another one. Even before New York instituted the plastic bag ban in stores, I always kept my Mazars bag to use for grocery shopping. Same thing. You get fruits or vegetables. You don't have to necessarily throw those bags out. You can hold on to them and use them again. This is actually in a hallway leading to my front door. So even now during the pandemic, it's right there. When I want to go to the grocery store, I just take it and bring it back. And once I empty it, I put it back on there on the door handle, so I never forget to bring it. So this one's a little harder to tell, but one way to reduce heating and cooling bills is to use the windows, use the shades. So During the summer, obviously, you keep the shades down. It makes sure it cools the inside of your house. Less need for air conditioner or fans or things like that. And then during the winter, or when it's cooler and there is sunlight, or if there is sunlight, you can open the blinds and use that to heat some of the inside of the house. It doesn't, I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but maybe it makes a small difference. As a Con Ed customer, they send you a little box when you move to a new apartment, but I think you can also request these if you want. And they have a bunch of items in there that are actually helpful for saving energy. So a couple of things were an aerator for your kitchen sink, although I already had one of those, an energy saving one. A shower head, which I've installed in my shower, and also a couple of LED lights. So light bulbs. It doesn't make sense to remove functioning light bulbs to put in LED ones. A better idea is, as those go bad or go out, you should then put in the LED bulbs. So it came with 3 bulbs. You can see that I've already installed one, and when the other bulbs go out, then I'll replace them with these. But I'm pretty sure if you're a Con Ed customer, you can request this kit. You might also check with your local energy company to see if they have something similar. The last thing that I'm trying to do, I've been looking on the internet to try and find a way to compost in my kitchen. A lot of containers you can see for sale there are more designed to hold things in your kitchen for a while and then take them out to your regular compost place. We don't really have that available, and obviously in an apartment building, there isn't a little garden behind my apartment, unfortunately. So I'm trying to find a way to compost materials that are either unedible or not reusable. So, stems and peels and things like that are all compostable, and then hopefully I can turn that into a little compost that I can use this summer to grow some herbs and spices on my shelf or on my windowsill. But that's more of a plan than an actual thing that I'm doing now.